Hey everyone, if you've read the title of this video, YouTube is going to be changing things in 5 days of this recording. They are going to be allowing AI to do more things on the platform. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I am talking about the oh so golly gracious idea of implementing a stronger age restriction policy. So, essentially, what this policy is meant to do is it's supposed to protect the younger audience. So, from my understanding, anybody who's under 18 from watching older videos meant for an older audience. Now, if you haven't been paying attention to what's been going on in the world, and this seems like, wow, that's out of nowhere. It almost feels like all of this has just come out of nowhere. I don't know exactly when it started, but over in the UK, they decided to pass the... Gosh, I probably should have done research before doing this. But essentially, they passed a law where the government is restricting people from viewing certain sites. Now, it was supposed to be like a Child Safety Act sort of thing. I know in the US, there have been plenty of attempts to pass something like this, where essentially it is supposed to protect children on the internet. The problem with this, and why like YouTube is implementing this new system, I believe, is because of the UK and how many other governments are acting right now. Essentially, everybody's saying we want to protect the children, like we don't want them going on certain sites meant for adults, or like illegal sites, or stuff that they just shouldn't be seeing. But at the end of it all, it's crap. It's utter crap. It's a bunch of just hoo-ha, smoke and mirrors, and that's honestly my opinion on this. And the reason I say it's my opinion is because, well, if any of these pass, they might not necessarily be implemented in the way that people are being led to believe. And there could be repercussions from me even saying this in the future. I hope not, but right now, the internet seems like it's going to become possibly a dystopian place for some of us. I don't know about all of us, but right now it's pretty rocky waters. So to get to the main point of this video, for at least my audience, if you're clicking on this just wanting some update on like what's going on, I'm sorry. I would say you might have to find another channel, or just check out like Moist Critical's videos on this, or like plenty of other YouTubers. Like almost everybody and their mom has made like, at least a comment on this at this point. And I figured, you know, the chances that I might be one of the unlucky ones to be picked out if they do start coming for people is unlikely. But again, hopefully that never happens. So, with this YouTube policy change, essentially how they're gonna enact it is, depending on your video watch history, you might be flagged as a child. So, if you're just watching a ton of Pokemon, or maybe watching some anime that may be for children, or something that is considered just, for younger audiences, and you don't watch anything like politics, or you watch Hot Ones, or like anything considered adult on the channel, it may flag you as a child. And what happens is, if you're not a child, which this is, from my understanding, YouTube is saying that this is all going to be ran by AI, and if you don't know how the AI system works on YouTube, it's dog water. It is horrible. It does not, honestly, I feel like it does not keep YouTube safe. And I understand why they have it. I just don't understand why they don't try to tune it better. And I feel like with any YouTuber, you have heard how bad the AI system is for like flagging videos, flagging thumbnails, and just absolutely ruining a ton of stuff on this platform. Heck, I've even encountered it a few times. And if, say, it flags you as a kid, there is a way to prove that you're 18 plus. The way you do that is you either, and from my understanding, there is 3 ways. I don't know if all of them are going to be implemented or 2 of them are going to be implemented. I don't know. But I'll go down them by order. The first one is you give them your government ID. Now, this could mean that you may have to, like, if you're watching YouTube on your phone, you may have to scan your ID. I don't see how else they would get the data. Like, they could ask for the ID code on it, but I don't know how well that would work. The next one is asking for a facial scan. So getting your biometric data, which, if you are aware of anything right now, that is a stupid idea. And if you don't know why that's a stupid idea, I would ask, are you aware of deepfakes? And how easy it is to deepfake someone nowadays. Now, I'm not saying it's like, oh, you can just hop onto any website and like do it. I don't know exactly how easy it is, but I've heard that it's a lot easier than how it used to be. And it's a lot cleaner, too. Which is horrifying, that someone could take your face and do whatever they want with it. And the final one is you give them a credit card number. Now, with that last one, I'm 26 and I don't own a credit card. I haven't owned a credit card all my life. I really don't feel like I need a credit card right now. Granted, I'm just broke. Like I barely am making it by as is, so yeah, something that could just be like, oh yeah, you're in debt. Right now just doesn't sound like a fun time to me, so yeah. So, what are your options? Well, depending on what is implemented on August 13th, which again is 5 days from this recording, you may have to give something up. And if you're like, well, there's sites that I can just make a fake ID, or I could just do a 10-year-old Death Stranding move, or I'll get my neighbor Phil to do it. I would say do not do that. Because it is unclear what the repercussions could be. It could be that you get a temporary ban because you deceived YouTube. It could be that there's nothing that happens. Or it could end up with you getting your account deleted. And considering if they have enough data, especially your IP address, they could stop you from making another YouTube account. Now, I'm not saying that's what they're gonna do. This is just me being like a doom and gloom kind of perspective. And don't take that with like absolute like, oh yeah, this guy knows exactly what he's talking about. No, I don't. I don't know if that will happen. I don't know if it's even a possibility. I don't know if it's even on the table. But I would say that if you run into this issue and you're just like, really? Like the creators I watch on YouTube or on other platforms, like they multi-stream. For example, if you just watch streamers, even though I wouldn't necessarily say to go to Twitch, and I know it's against YouTube's policy to try and funnel people from one platform to another. Heck, they have the same rule on Twitch. I would say if this happens and you're like, I don't want to give Google any more of my information than I have to, I would say right now, Twitch hasn't said anything about this kind of thing happening on their platform. And for my audience, if you want to keep watching my stuff, well, Twitch right now is an option. So, for that main point of this video, it could end right here. You could just click off now. What I'm going to say next is just a lot of my opinions about this whole like censorship on the world, and just a lot of like why, right? So I'll give you the count to 5. If you're still here, well, kudos. I guess you're gonna listen to someone just talk about how everything about this whole censorship thing is stupid. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You still here? All right. Well, you stuck around. You decided to listen to my old man ramblings. Right? 26-year-old man ramblings. So, my opinion on all this censorship about, like, oh, we're just trying to protect the kids, right? I am not saying that kids on the internet shouldn't be protected. But what I want to point out is how a bunch of these politicians, and I'm not talking about just the politicians of like the US, because I am a US civilian. I'm looking at this as a worldwide thing. How a lot of these politicians are using kids as sort of like a playing chip. And I honestly think it's quite sickening, to be honest. Because if anybody who even is just a little bit tech savvy, you will know about parental controls. And there are ways to add parental controls on devices, but also on your router. Like a school, if they wanted to, if they had Wi-Fi and kids are getting on their phones, they could just disable them from looking any of this stuff up. Same at home. So, the way I'm looking at this is a lot of these governments are pretty much saying, well, look at the kids, look at the kids. Like, little Timmy's on a certain hub and he's looking at all this stuff. He shouldn't, like, he's only 10. He's only 10. And it's like, well, here's essentially what you're crying about. To give you an idea of how this is in my mind, this is essentially like saying, me and my significant other are hearing someone trying to break down our front door, and she's looking at me saying, what do? We can't do anything. We need to do something, but we can't do anything. Not right now. And it's just like, what are you talking about? There's a bat right next to the bedstand. There's a shotgun in the corner. There's, like, shells right next to it. We don't have kids. So we don't have to worry about, like, making sure that they're safe. And you have a phone right in your hand that you could call 911 on. That's how I feel like the government is right now. A lot of these governments. Just saying, but if we don't do this, the kids will be unsafe. And it's just like, no. Let me just point out something. As a kid who did grow up with the, like, online, completely unfiltered, I had access to everything. I'm just going to tell you that, first of all, you're acting like these kids are stupid. They aren't. As I said earlier in this video about the whole 10-year-old Death Stranding strategy, that actually happened. A 10-year-old used, from what I can remember, his PS5, a phone, and the scanning app to make sure, like, oh, is he an adult? And got around that. A 10-year-old, and this was enacted in less than a week, and a 10-year-old figured out how to get around this measure. But the other thing is, if parents don't care in the first place, when it's like, oh yeah, I'll just give, unfettered access to my child. Like, here you go, here's an iPad to everything. Do you really think that if, say, little John is like, hey, I want to play Roblox, but I can't, I need your ID, then, like, they're just going to be like, oh, God, I'm in the middle of me. Okay, here you go. Go play your Roblox. Well, you just handed them essentially the golden ticket to go wherever they want on the internet then. Like, there's nothing stopping them. And also, again, if the parents don't care, like, there's so many ways to get around some of this stuff. And I'm saying that these precautions that they're trying to push are dumb. They're absolutely stupid. And the other thing is how they also are trying to push for stuff like, I saw it this morning about, I think it was a few countries, governments want access or like a back door to your computer, to your gaming consoles, to your conversations. And from my understanding, it could be text messages, but it could also just be straight up when you're on the phone with someone. So essentially trying to go back to the good old wiretap. I'm sorry, but when I call someone, which isn't often, my conversation is between me and them. Not me, them, and some creep who got access to my number and is listening to my calls because the government can't stop someone hacking into that. And that's the biggest silver bullet I can think of. A lot of these people are just saying, well, it's for the safety of everyone. It's safety of children. It's safety for anybody on the internet. I just might point out, this isn't going to save anyone. It's going to doom a lot of people. It's going to doom a lot of businesses. Because everything's online now. So if everybody has to do some sort of security check to make sure you're not, a 10-year-old looking up like tractors on a John Deere website. Now, I'm saying that as a joke. Like, I hope they don't ever, if this somehow got implemented, go that far where you actually have to pull out your ID just to get into a website, even though you were already logged into your computer, you already logged into your Google account, and then you have to log into every other website. Not like if they have a login, just to give you an idea for them if you're old enough to even shop. Like, think if every time you had to get on Amazon, it wasn't just like, oh, I have to log into my account. You also have to give them a selfie or your credit card number, which, granted, they already have, so it would be like, why do you need it again? Or your ID. And a lot of people are like, well, it's going to be, third party, so no one's ever really going to see this. No. That's how it would be in a perfect setting. The reality is a lot of these third parties that people talk about, like, oh yeah, no, like, the third party's going to get it, just check it, and get rid of it. Well, how do they know if it's right in the first place? How are they checking that? They would have to have something to already check it, especially if they decide to go completely AI. I'm someone who's looked at code before. I've taken some coding classes back when I was in college, and this is just a basic aspect of anything on the internet. Whether it's a game, it's a website, anything that has code. It can't do anything it does not have the information access to. I'm sorry, that probably sounded really weird. I don't know what I even said. So let me just re-say it. The code does not have access to anything that doesn't exist. Okay, that sounded a lot better. And if it's like, well, I gotta make sure, this person even exists and they're not dead and they are the age that they say they are, well, it has to have something to work off of. Because if you're Jimmy Johns, who is in their late 50s, you're male, and you live in Omaha, okay, that's a lot of information. Where is this system gonna get it from? Oh, right, it's gonna have to save that information. And I might just point out, anything that's digital is never 100% safe. And I'm also aware that anything physical is not 100% safe either. But with digital, it's a lot easier to get. Especially when these people who say, like, we got the best on it, your stuff is safe with us, a lot of them seem to be, in my opinion, bloated with talk. They have nothing to back that up. And when push comes to shove, they fall right over. But that's how I feel about this right now. So hopefully a lot of this changes and a lot of people are willing to speak up and just say, you're trying to shut us up, and we're not going to take so kindly to that. So if you see something or become aware of like a petition that's like, hey, this new law they're trying to pass, and it's like, oh, it's, to protect children, but you look into it a little bit, and I would suggest looking into it, and it says, like, maybe one or two things about kids, but the rest of it is like, oh, we need to monitor everything you do throughout your life. We got to make sure that your toaster is tapped, and that we know how many times you're opening the refrigerator a day, and how long you're in the shower. No, they do not need to know that. Just like how they don't need to know who you're talking to. Because if they don't have any sort of, well, evidence that you're committing a crime, or that you're even part of some sort of criminal enterprise, or just anything, like if all you do is talk to your mom every Monday, they don't need to know that. They don't need to know what you and your mom are talking about. But then again, what good is the government if they don't overstep their boundaries and let their people remind them why they're there? I'm Kyla Creeper, and I am signing out. Hopefully, we all can survive this. Bye.